Should be, I guess, fine. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I guess it's recording. So, hello everyone. I am Anna. I am GESSHIN's president. And today we are gonna like talk about how we can our foreign students, our international students can find internships and start working in Japan. So I'm gonna briefly introduce our association, but I guess almost all of you know GESSHIN. But anyway, so GESSHIN is a student association that is linked to Ca' Foscari University, and this is our first event of the 2025-2026 academic year. And what can I say? As you guys know, we organize a lot of events, well, stay tuned for the upcoming events. So for today, I'm gonna leave the floor to Luan Cao, which is the co-founder of Emunitas, which is a startup based in Beppu, Japan. And what they do is collaborate with international students, which may or may not be based in Japan, to find job opportunities and internship in the country. So, Luan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna. Ciao, amici, or buongiorno, if I want to be formal. I just learned that 5 minutes ago. Thank you very much once again for having me today to introduce the panel on how to navigate the Japan's job market. Here's the applause, I guess. And a special thank you for GESSHIN for having me on today to introduce to the students body of Ca' Foscari. Without further ado, I guess I can go ahead. So here are the things we'll be talking today. First of all, I'd like to a little bit introduce about myself and Emunitas Dokujo, what it is and who I am as well, so we can know each other better so that you're not talking to a stranger. And about job hunting in Japan, about the ricco, which is the Japanese standardized CV, about visa, and about a few more key points that is important for job hunting in Japan. And then we'll just have a Q&A, and then we'll close it up for the panel today. Yeah, so without further ado, cue the drum roll. That's me. Hello guys, my name is Cao Luan. Yes, it's cow, like the animal, like the cow, moo. Yeah, so I am a person from Vietnam. I was born and raised in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, or Saigon. And when I was 18, I came to Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University, an international university that is located in Beppu, Oita, which is a branch of the of the famous Ritsumeikan University. And my hobbies are volleyball and building keyboards. Well, it's more like collection of keyboards, and then playing video games. So, if we can get along, I'd say that would be great. Anyways. So just a little bit of backstory. I was a university student up until last year, and during my times, I mostly just study, play games, and hang out with my friends. I graduated just last year, September. You can see this picture. I got a lot of flowers. Get it? Like flowers. Anyways. So I founded the company Emunitas during my 3rd year of university. And it was actually very funny, the story of how me and my co-founder was actually in this meeting, Yujin Yamaguchi. He is actually there as well. But there he is. We met each other in an onsen. It's called Kyotan Onsen. It's an onsen that has a very long history within Beppu. So if you guys ever had a chance to travel to Oita, you should definitely visit this onsen. And we had a little bit of talk during that onsen. And don't ask me why, like, 2 guys would be talking about, this kind of stuff in an onsen, but it was rather interesting that we did. And we founded Emunitas during that time. through a few more discussions. So about Emunitas, we are a startup based in Beppu, Oita, the city that is in Kyushu of Japan, or the southern part of Japan. And we are a startup that helps international students in Japan or not in Japan find jobs and internships. Well, in Japan, we connect them, and also we give services to the students by helping them with like figuring out how to find jobs. Yeah, so that's about us. So before I start like talking about the nitbits of like the job hunting in Japan, I'd like to ask you a simple question. Well, this actually I should have corrected that, but what do you think is holding you back from landing the career you deserve in Japan? Or in other words, what do you think is the most difficult part, or what you like to figure out in trying to find a job in Japan? You can just go ahead and just type it in, like a few words, few phrases is fine in the chat. And you know, we'll see what we got. You know, what do you guys think? Or if you'd like, you can open up the mic and say it too. Yeah. What about Anna? What do you think?
Well, I guess for me, the hardest part was, I mean, no, I wouldn't say it's the hardest part, but the thing I'm the most concerned about is finding like a company I'm actually like that kind of can see my strong points and help me like improve my strong points and improve my skills. But at the same time, like I would like to find a job in a company that not only can support me, but which also does like I actually do find like interesting.
Makes sense. So essentially finding the right company, right? Being the right person in the right place. All right, makes sense, makes sense. What about everybody else? Like, anybody else have any other things that they think about that is like they would like to know about like job hunting in Japan? Anybody? You know, in the please, Fiona. Yeah.
Sorry, I think maybe is the difference between the contracts, the type of contracts here in Italy and the type of contracts in Japan, because I heard like very scary stories about contracts that asked mostly foreigners about overtime not paid or like black job hunting kind of stuff. So maybe the difference is in the contracts and how to spot a bad contract when I see one.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you very much. So essentially, work culture as well, right? You know, like well, not just work culture, but like contracts and like official documents that you should pay attention for, right? Makes sense. And I saw. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Nicola. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that the most difficult part is that we don't have like enough informations on how to navigate this type of world. Well, that's the main problem for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So your main problem is navigation, or you know, finding out where the hell to go, right? Well, that's interesting. Well, thank you everybody for talking to me. Well, anyways, that's interesting because we have did a survey with the international students in Japan, and these are the most common results when they are mentioning about the keywords of the difficult things or the things that are holding them back from landing a job in Japan. So, and what do you know? The 60% of the international students within Japan struggle to navigate the job market in Japan. In other words, where the hell do I start? Where the hell do I go? Right? And this is understandable because, well, actually, yeah, I forgot I put this back. That's why I fight for you, the international people of Japan. That was a Better Call Saul reference. I put it there so you guys don't go to sleep, actually. But yeah, so about the reason why it's so difficult to navigate or understand the job market in Japan, especially, is because there is a massive difference in the Japan's job market compared to international as well, like other countries. So, you know, these are the few key points that I think that people point out. It's like the first one is they have a very structural and a very scheduled timeline. Like all companies, or most, maybe 90% of the Japanese companies, follow the specific timeline that I will introduce to you guys in a bit. And it requires a standardized CV format that is called a dedicato, that I will also introduce to you guys in a bit, and focus on matching, or in other words, fitting to the company culture rather than being an extraordinary, candidate, for example. Then there are the communication expectation. Well, of course, you have to be formal in the talk, or when you are communicating with your employer. But in Japan, it's very heavily emphasized on this point, just because of the culture of the language itself as well. And so if you guys are interested in Japanese, you guys might know of the existence of the things such as keigo, where you have to say it in a very, very formal way of using words. It's like speaking very elegantly, like drinking a cup of tea in English, but not like to a 10 times extent, basically. And then the fact that there is multiple rounds of interview. So normally in international job hunting, I'd say maybe 1 or 2 interviews with maybe 1 test. But in Japan, it can go up to 3 or 5 rounds with multiple different, such as group round, and then there's a single round and many others. And there's so many exams that you have to take as well for a lot of the companies. And then for us international folks as well, there's also the language and visa considerations, which I will also go through today as well. Yeah, so about the timeline in job hunting in Japan, essentially, to put it short, it is a 1-year cycle that each of the companies usually they follow this. So at the beginning of April, towards the next year, March, I would say this is the preparation phase, where most of the companies are already kind of doing like interview to the other candidates of last year. But if you are starting out fresh, you're starting out to do job hunting, April to next year, February, is the time where you would try to look for internships, summer internships, or autumn or winter internship. And then figuring out yourself or your organization of your interests and abilities, like, gear yourself up for the hunt, and then research on industries, the companies and occupations. So for this phase, there is no one size fit all for all of the companies, and I wouldn't be able to tell you the precise formula of success, but and it definitely depends on you and the company itself as well. But here is where I think that I can give you a lot of advice as well as insight on is the corporate entry point, which is where the real hunt begins, or like I like to call it, during next year, March. Where there is the entry point, and when the companies start to do the company info sessions, a lot of the companies force you to join these company info sessions, otherwise you cannot apply for them. That's a thing that is very apparent here in job hunting in Japan that you should keep an eye out for. And then from March to roughly May is where you would do entry sheet submissions and CV, which is the dedicato I will get to later, and also other relevant documents that you will need to submit. And then from May to October is usually where the companies would do the written test, and then interview, not written interview, I'm sorry. And then by that time, towards October, if you're hired, you would normally get what is called a informal decision, or in like unofficial hiring. It's called nainaite. Basically, they really want to hire you, but they haven't. They will sign a document saying so, but technically on paper you're not adopted in the company yet. So, and then by October you would be receiving the naite, which is the actual job offer, and you're having like a event that you will be in the official company. Usually there's a company warning or whatever as well. So yeah, that's the general timeline of job hunting in Japan. So yeah, and then on the next part we'll go to the lecture. See what I did there? You know, like read about the lecture. I put it into one word. That's peak humor. Anyways, so about the read show, this is what it looks like. Obviously, this is just like a mock-up of what a read show would be looking like. I think you guys would be more fond of this English CV or international CV, where it's more focused on like showing yourself, like expressing yourself to the employers. But the Japanese standardized CV or the Ridexho, its purpose is to, well, standardize everything, where you would show your skills and your qualifications, as well as your education and academic history, so that they can, you know, properly like screen it. So, you know, if you want to understand the word, Ridexho basically just means Rideki is like your history, and show is just a document of your history. Basically, that's what it is, which is curriculum vitae, which is CV. But, and if you guys want to, this is a website that is very usable for, it's very helpful for making a Ridexho, and it's good to pay attention to what kind of Ridexho that you want to create as well. And just as a heads up, Job will soon have the similar functions, so stay tuned, you know, check us out. Anyways, yeah, so then if you guys want to check out what a Ridexho looks like and try to start making your own, you can check out this website. So of course, this is what a basic structure of a Ridexho. There are multiple types, as you guys can already see, but generally they should include these four sections. And then the fifth section is usually changed flexibly depending on the type of Ridexho. So the first part is the contacts and personal info, which should include your picture. This is very important because there is such a thing as, you know, hiring based on face in Japan. Like if you look good, they will hire you or something like that. But it depends on the company. Not a lot of them do that, but yeah, don't take my words for it, but they do that. So, you know, your picture is here, your name is here, your birthday, how old are you, and then your address and contact information, basically. That's the entire section of this section right here. And then next we'll go to the academic or professional history. This section actually spans a really, really long, if you guys saw it earlier, it spans into 2 pages usually, but some Ridexho just kind of last just 1 page and leave more space for other things. And usually here you just write which school you go to for high school, for university, and what companies you worked at, since when. Like here you can see what year and what month. That's the academic and professional history. And then we would have something for licenses and certification. You would write if you have, for example, a certificate to do cranes, for example, if you're a blue collar worker, if you're interested in that, or if you have a TOEIC or if you have JLPT, this is where you would write them. And finally, this is self-PR, motivation, strength, and other notes. This section is usually very flexibly changed depending on the type of Ridexho. And but here it's more on self-PR, like introducing yourself and like appealing to the employers. Yeah, so other might include things like requests or reason for application or commuting time, especially if like the company exists in like a mountain or something that you need like 40 minutes to drive up to. So yeah, so that's about a Ridexho. So I just put 2 here, but apparently there are many points that you can improve on in a Ridexho to appear better to an employer. But of course, if you guys want to, like, you can also send it to me or us, and then we can like give you guys feedbacks as well. But essentially, this is an example of a not so good Ridexho, where you can see that the information is all bunched up together, and they don't really split the academic and professional history are not separated. So it's really difficult for the employers to pinpoint like the thing they want to look at. The important thing for a Ridexho to look good is for it to be easy to see, easy to pinpoint like good information. And I will tell you guys a bit about like why that matters in just a second. And here's a better example. You can see like the study history, academic history, and work history is split out. They identify where they joined the school and where they left the school, where they joined a company, what year, and they clearly write the name of the company, for example. This is just a better example, but there are many, many other aspects to this. So, all right, so let's go on to the even more boring part, the visa. I just list up the few visa that you should be looking out for when you are looking for a job in Japan. So the very first one is student visa. This one is usually where people would make an entry point to going to work in Japan. And it's what I would also recommend to you guys if you guys have not had Japanese knowledge, or the language knowledge, which is the student visa. So for a student visa, essentially you cannot work full-time, and you are bounded to the university or the language school that you go to. And it's a pathway to a work visa. And the work visa, there are two main types. The first one is engineer specialist in humanities, or international service and visa, which is shortened to be gijinkoku. So this one is the main work visa for most graduates, for I'd say white collar jobs, but usually it is relevant to your major or your skills. So for example, you study in a business school, you go to do, say, a accounting job, for example, then you would get usually a gijinkoku visa. A special skilled worker visa is a visa that has a special industry tied to it, usually hospitality. Like for example, if you want to work as a hotel manager or like a yoga manager, then you would look for SSW visa. So these are the industry that they're tied to. There are two types, and the first type is usually employer specific. The second type can, after a few years of working, can usually directly lead you into like a permanent residency, which is the one that a lot of the people look for. All right, then the last two, there are many more, but I would just introduce the interesting ones, I guess. These are the two that you would look for, or I'd say the holy grail of Japanese visa. Essentially, it's the highly skilled professional visa, or kodo senmon shoku, or permanent residency, or eijuken. So this one is essentially you can walk in and out of the country, total freedom, and you don't need to have a job, essentially. But as long as you don't do anything illegal. I hope you guys don't do anything illegal. But so to apply for a permanent residency, usually people there are two ways to do so. One is going for this visa, which will be based on a point system. So that point system, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but you guys can check out this website right here, Japan PR Calculator. Essentially, it will show you how much point you can get based on, for example, if you're younger than 30, if you have 5 million yen a year worth of salary, if you have JLPT N2, if you have JLPT N1, all of those add points. And if you reach a certain amount of points, which is 70, I believe, you would get this visa, highly skilled professional. And after 3 years of this visa, you can directly apply to become a permanent resident. And that's how it is. The second path that a lot of people would go for is 10 years of residency in Japan. Now, this doesn't account for student visa. So if you have lived, say, for example, 5 years in Japan in student visa, then it doesn't count towards this. You have to have 10 years of consecutive. If you are a student, you have to have at least 5 years of working experience, of 5 years of working visa to get this visa, if you're going down that path. Essentially, that's how it is. And this is what usually people look for when they are looking for a job in Japan. All right. And then here are just some final key points to like the job hunting in visa. I'm sorry, in Japan. I boil them down to these 4 points. First of all, Japanese ability. This is very crucial and it should be obvious because if you work in Japan, you'd want to be good at Japanese, right? So a lot of the question I got is like, you know, what kind of Japanese level is good for a job? It really depends on the company and the industry or the job that you are looking for. But as a safe net, usually JLPT N3 is the safest net that you can go for. And usually to stay in Japan, you know, you would look for a higher JLPT so that you can do your job better, essentially. A lot of the companies' full-time jobs, they would ask for HLPT N2 certificate, but a few of them also doesn't do that. But what they ask for is your ability to communicate in Japanese of the equivalent level to, say, JLPT N2. The other thing is culture fit. Now, this is what I meant by when I say earlier about matching. In Japanese job hunting, it is not about whether a person or a student who is extraordinary, well, it does, maybe 10 or 20%, but the important thing is whether you're the right person for the right job. Or in other words, if the company is looking for a person whose personality is, say, ABCD, and if you have those ABCD traits, usually you would have a better chance of getting hired than, say, a person who doesn't have those ABCD traits, but say they have an E traits that is maxed to like 100, like, you know, something like that. So that's what's important about culture fit. And the other thing is you have to understand the cultural things or the cultural niches of Japanese culture, like the ability to communicate formally during an interview, or, you know, which type of grammar to use when you're talking to a higher up, when you're talking to a person below you in the, I'd say, hierarchy, but, you know. And then the other thing is independence and proactive. A lot of the companies in Japan are small and small businesses or startups. So they would want to look for somebody who can help them grow the business even further. And this goes the same for even the big companies. What it is, you know, like some of the work culture in other countries, usually people just go in, do their task, finish, go off. Like, you know, that's it, right? That's how they get paid. But in Japan, you're more likely to be a good candidate if, say, you have the ability to express independency and like being able to like grow the company and like giving them a lot of ideas or, you know, innovations, or contribute a lot basically, and know where you are at in the whole organization. And finally is expertise and potential. I would emphasize on potential because a lot of the people would think like, you know, and this is a question that I get a lot too. Like, you know, I only have a bachelor degree. Can I get a job in Japan? And the answer to that is yes, if it's not apparent enough, or where I was going with that already. But essentially, if you have potential to grow alongside with the company and the resources that they are going to put to you, then they are very likely to hire you than, say, someone with for example, a PhD or a master's degree and really knows what they're talking about, you know. And yeah, so that's about the job hunting market in Japan. I would say there is many more facets to this, but I think it's I've been talking long enough, and, you know, you guys haven't talked, but I think like a few of you guys might be asleep or not. I'm kidding. So I think it's a good time to move on to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask about job hunting in Japan, about anything at all that I've just talked about, or, well, pretty much anything, like how is my day, you can just either turn on your mic and say it, or you can just say chat and I'll answer each one of them one by one. Oh yeah, please, Nicolo, go ahead. You can start us off.
Previously, I saw that there was this type of written test for entering the company. What is this written test?
So it depends on the depends on the company. Sorry, I'm gonna skip back to that slide right there. Oops. So it depends. Oops. Okay, so it depends on the company that you're applying for and the industry as well. For example, there is a if you're applying for, say, an IT company, usually they would require you to take what is called like an IT visa in Japan. You can also Google that up, IT visa Japan. Essentially, they would ask you to do a certain examination or whatever test that they feel is required for you to apply to the job. And usually they would write it up on their job description, like requirements, like what kind of certification you need, or they would say like you need to be taking this test. And there is also another one which is called the SBI test, which is an aptitude test. Usually it's to test whether you are able to work in an organization and like in a business format. You can also look that up.
Okay,
I hope that's answered. Thank you very much, Nicola. All right. I see in chat. So
Yeah,
consider.
I wrote a question before, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna read it.
Okay.
Considering that actually, like, the majority of us is majoring in Japanese language and culture, so I would say our degree, generally speaking, is let's say focused on humanities, kinda.
Mhm.
So from your perspective, like, what visa status would you recommend we look into for, like, while looking for a career in Japan?
Okay, so thank you very much, Anna. And this is a question that I get a lot too. Is that what kind of visa would you look into? So I would say these are the two. I would split into two routes that are equally as good as each other, but really depends on the person. The first route is you would look onto doing a university or also to do a language school in Japan. So this way you would get the student visa. If I can skip to that. Yep, there you go. So you would get a student visa. So essentially why this route is really good to look into is that, first of all, you are already existing in Japan. So you gain the experience that you need through, being in Japan yourself, and you have another form of resource. What number one is us, like us, come to us. Anyways, number two is your senpai or your seniors, your people who have already studied and find jobs in Japan. And they would come back and help you essentially because they have been helped by their further seniors before. So essentially you would get the experience and you would get the communication skills that's needed, and you also are already in Japan. So picture it this way, like, if you're an employer and you're trying to find workforce for your company, the first thing that you would look for is, people around you, right? Say people, if you're in Fukuoka, they would look for, people already in Fukuoka. So you don't have to handle the moving, you don't have to handle the visa and all that stuff. So this route is usually what people would go for and what I would also advise to go for. The second route, which is also equally as good, but I wouldn't recommend, is that you would brush up a lot on your Japanese, getting a JLPT N2 at the very least, since you're already out of the country. You would look for one of these two visa to work as. If you are working towards a more, I would say, white-collar job, I put in quotations here because there are exceptions, you would look for a Gijinkoku job, Gijinkoku visa, for a job that would match your expertise that you had graduated from in a university in Japan. I'm sorry, in Italy or any other part of the other countries that you're going to. And the other one is that you would look into special skilled worker, Tokegino. This is where you would need to go to a specialized school or take a specialized exam that is for the specific job that you need. So for example, a hospitality SSW requires you to take a SSW exam, and you would need to go to Japan to do that, basically. So this route is not, I wouldn't advise to do so if you're currently out of the country. But if you're in Japan, when I say country, I mean like Japan. If you're in Japan, it's usually easier to go for these two visas. So the route that I would recommend is to first be a student, whether it's for a language school or a university in Japan. Yes. Oh, and yeah, please. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, in case you want to teach in Japan, which one of the two visas does apply?
To specifically answer that, thank you very much, Andrea, as well. If you want to teach in Japan, that would falls into the Gijinkoku, or engineer specialists in humanities and international service. Just in short, that's all I can say about teaching. But it also depends on the kind of subject you're teaching. For example, if you're teaching, say, doing cranes or lifting, or say hospitality or something like that, then sometimes it would fall onto special skilled worker. But most of the time, it would be Gijinkoku, this one, engineer specialist. I hope that answered your question. All right, thank you. And anybody else have any other questions? Oh, yeah, please, Dario. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me? Firstly, I would like to thank you
perfect.
for all your presentation. It was really, helpful for us. Yeah, and also GESSHIN, thank you for organizing this encounter. No, I have actually two questions, two separated questions. I would like to ask you whether if there is like any common mistakes or failures that international students do when they apply or they're trying to apply to interviews. And this is the first question. The second question, it's something that really goes to my mind when I think of, looking for a job as a foreign student or as a foreigner. Like, we have been as, European, we've been so, let's say, confused of the fake American dream where you go to another nation and you have this career development, this, how to say, like you go up to the society and, you become rich, let's say it.
Yeah.
Do you think that trying to apply as a foreign student in Japan, of course, it's regarded to their own qualities and, of course, to, the specific case, but let's say in general, to summarize, do you think there are, possibilities of any career development, through the years? And
okay. Thank you. All right, then. So let's. Well, thank you, Dario. Is that how I pronounce your name, Dario? Thank you for your wonderful questions. It's actually like really good questions. The first one is I'd like to confirm as well, like common mistakes that students or people applying for a job in Japan usually make, right? Two or a few I can point out. So the first common mistakes is that they value, for example, when you're writing your dedicato, as well as when you're doing the interview as well, right? Well, just anytime during the screening, is that they list up irrelevant or too many experiences. So, you would commonly think like, oh, I've put my hands in the job hunting world for a long time. I've had so many experience working so many fields. I'm valuable, right? But in Japan job hunting, usually they would automatically kind of just cancel out all those information when they're looking at your documents. So, for example, if you're applying, say, for a teaching job, speak of the previous example, if you're applying for a teaching job in Japan, then your experience should list something relevant, and you should only list those relevant information. Any other things that you might think, like, for example, this might give them the information that I have a lot of team job, experience or whatever. Usually they do not care, because if you take a look at the actual format, they don't, like, in a CV, right? You would write your job, first of all, like, for example, your work experience, where you work and what you do, right? So that's the space where you get to express yourself. But in a dedicato, your appeal point is limited usually to like a few boxes of text. And usually they would find that out during, say, an interview. And I wouldn't say this is a really good system, but it's a system that exists, right? So, you know, that's what it is. And so, for example, if you were doing a teaching job, then you would list relevant teaching experience. So that's the first mistake. The second mistake is, I would say, not finding an industry that fits them, basically. So, for example, a lot of the students, I think this might apply to other countries as well, but I'm just pulling this out because now, you know, I'm just pulling out of the things that I can say. But for example, if you're in Japan, a lot of the companies will put you in a position, it's called a general position, as in like you're expected to do not every, but like a lot of the responsibilities of the companies, like doing, say, documentation or like data analysis or whatever. You're not specializing in any form of job. They will have you work in this position for a few years before you get to specialize or, say, move on to like a managerial position. So a lot of students would think that they need to emphasize a lot on their abilities in, say, like a certain industry. I would say instead of that, you need to focus on looking for the right company, right? So, sorry, give me a second. So looking for the right company and understanding their culture rather than, say, finding the certain expertise that they can just brush up on, which is usually not preferred by the employers, if you understand what I mean. So that's the two mistakes. So I hope that answered your first question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that really maybe differs to the way we build up our CV in general, maybe in Italy, because we tend to, you know, not really summarize, but like build up a lot of activities we've done, maybe regarding the field, and sometimes it's just to fill the boxes, you know. So and
makes sense.
Maybe it doesn't fit with the work we would like to apply. So yeah, that completely answers. And yeah, what about the career development? I mean,
second question, yeah. So yeah, thank you. So the second question is regarding the whether it's a good idea, right? I don't know if I phrased this correctly, whether it's a good idea to start a new career in Japan or for any countries for that matters, right? But let's just say for Japan, for this specific case, I would say first of all, it depends on you, like what your priorities are. And you know, I would say this, like, take this with a grain of salt, because I have only been in the job market for so long, but I have seen a lot, because you know, this is the industry that my company works in. So, but the thing about the career development in Japan is that it is a lot different to a lot of other countries. So what really matters is not whether the potential, because the potential of, say, a certain nation career development really depends on whether the person fit with that goal or not. So say, for example, if you're looking to go to Japan, what you should be looking for is not, say, for example, like expert in IT, for example. Like, this is just a very brief example. I'm just pulling this out. But say, for example, you want to be like Elon Musk, then maybe Japan is not the place for you, you know, maybe. But in Japan, it's more on gathering experience and gathering the right, you know, people for the right job. So that's also the reason why a lot of the people I see coming to Japan, you know, like you said, right, having this American dream, or I say like the Japan dream, where they can start a new business, and they can, like, first of all start with like teaching English, and then maybe start in school sometimes later, but they get stuck in that loop of just working and then paying off their rent and just working, and then eventually they end up back in their country, right? So I think what really matters isn't like whether Japan is a good place or not. It's more depending on you. You can think of Japan as decently good soil. I would say decently good for growth, and the rest of the potential depends on the seed, which is you. Whether your seed, because for example, if you plant a potato in well, I'm not an expert in plantation, so don't quote me on this, but say if you plant a potato in red soil, then it wouldn't grow as well on, like, say, brown soil, right? But even though the brown soil is less nutritious, right? But red soil is more nutritious, but it wouldn't grow as well, basically, something like that. You get what I mean? It's more on matching and your potential, rather than whether Japan is an actual good place to grow your career or not, is my answer to your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dario.
I actually do have a couple more of questions, if it's fine
Yes,
with
please.
you.
Yes, of
So
course.
the first one is kind of silly, but it's something I noticed when I was in Japan, because while studying here, like, our professors always told us, both during our like bachelor and during our masters, that even if it's like 2025, we should still write the rickshaw by hand. If you want to apply to like a job position in Japan, because like Japanese companies still really value, handwriting and, writing everything down by ourselves. But on the other hand, so this is what we hear from our professors, right? But
Yeah.
on the other hand, when I was in Japan, I noticed that some companies, like not all of them, but some companies were specifically like asking for, like the rickshaw, like just like the standard version,
file.
like compile, like writing it online, like without like writing anything down by yourself with your handwriting. So I was wondering if this mindset has changed through the years, or if like the companies I found were just an exception. So this is my first question. So, and the second question is actually related to like the how can I say it? It's like, which would be the best strategy to quickly find a job in Japan? Like, would you recommend us like to focus on, like, to do some research and like focus on a small amount of companies and thoroughly like apply only for them, and so just focus on like preparing for like interviews for those specific companies? Or would you instead recommend us to just mass apply, like apply to 20, 30, 40 companies and just see how it goes? Like, what is your recommendation?
Okay. All right, so 2 questions, right? The first one is whether you should write your diction in handwritten or print it out, or type it out and then print it out, right? So to answer that question, it's exactly as you just said. It really depends on the company, and the companies that you have found that ask for the typing diction isn't a very niche exception. There are a lot of companies, I would say maybe the majority of them, just prefer the diction sent to them by file, and they can actually read your handwriting, right? As to why your professor says that it's a lot of companies prefer them to be handwritten, this is usually for companies that are very traditional, or the companies that would say do something regarding I say maybe manufacturing, but like traditional Japanese sculpture or whatever, those kind of things. It really depends on the research that you have done for the company and which one they would prefer. But I would say the surefire way, like as in like the thing that they would all accept nowadays, is just typed out a diction, because they would just ask for the file, in the end. So you would end up having to like scan them, and that's very inefficient, and nobody gets to record your file or whatever. So it's more easy and more preferred to be typed out for the diction. For the second question, I believe is when you ask, I'm sorry, what did you ask about on the second question? I'm sorry, dementia is kicking in.
So actually, the second question is, would you recommend us to focus, like to do some research and focus on applying on a limited amount of companies, just focusing on like, preparing the interviews and do our best after applying only for a few companies, or just on the other hand, just mass apply and like try our luck, something like that?
Okay. All right. So this also, don't quote me on this one as well, but this has been like a strategy that I believe me and a few others have used, and it's not 100% guaranteed, but it's like you can think of, and please don't quote me on this. You can think of doing job hunting in Japan or anywhere, kind of like dating, kind of like you're using a dating app. If you're using those platforms, please don't quote me on this, but it's the closest analogy I can think of. But for example, if you just use the dating app and you just massively swipe right on everybody, right, eventually you will get somebody, right? If you realistically think about it, it's the same. If you mass apply to a lot of the companies, first of all, you would use up a lot of your resources, as in like your time and like writing the initial, and your profile is the same for all of them, right? So you would appear as a person who is kind of like a playgirl, right? Or I'm sorry, but like a person who is not serious about relationships, basically, right? So it's the same, right? If you mass apply for the companies and your lead actual and all of your information are the same, you would appear to the companies that you're not serious about this, and companies would not prefer that. So instead of that, you would have a set amount of target set out for yourself, and then you would fix your lead actual, your profile, your everything according to that company, so that you can appeal to them that you are a good candidate. And that's usually the better strategy, like I would say. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, and I'm really sorry for that analogy because that's all I can think of.
Fine. I mean, it really makes sense. Like it works. So thank you very much. I think your answers were like perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fiamma has a question.
Fiamma, please. Yes.
Yes, I was just wondering about the key points you were saying before.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, how can you manage to show yourself as proactive and independent, but at the same time being a right culture fit for like these cultural niches we were talking about? Like, how can we balance this?
So thank you very much, Fiamma, for the question first and foremost. Well, there is, once again, I think I will repeat this a lot, but there is not a one size fit all answer for all of this. But a good way to think about how you would balance your profile on like showing that you're independent and that you're proactive, but also fitting to the company, is first and foremost, you have to be able to research the company and you understand what they want. So if you understand, for example, a company that really looks for a person who is very innovative and always come up with ideas and everything, then you would focus on like trying to show yourself like through your experiences. For example, I've applied to a lot of internship. I have worked at this company for that year, and I have done this for that company, like in the appeal box, right? You would show that to them. But say, for example, if a company that values, say, experience, then you would show that I have been very committed to this company because I've worked for it for this long, and this is the achievement. Basically, it's basically like that. So you have to do like rigorous research, or like have a very good understanding of the company that you're applying to, is what I would recommend. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much. Yes,
thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Any other questions from anybody?
So, there's one question.
Cecilia. Yes, Cecilia, please.
Hi, good morning to everybody.
Good morning to you too.
Thank you. I was listening to your answer of this question, and another one came up, still talking about independence and practice. I'm thinking about, for example, I'm working a company right now, and if I start to apply to another company, for example, maybe the company is looking for someone that has some kind of skills, and I write it down that I have this kind of skills because I want to really work in that company, and maybe the company hires me. Then, how can I balance this? Promote myself, promote my independence and proactive, but still not kind of lying to the company, and that maybe they have really high expectations of my skills, and then maybe, I don't know, I fail at doing the job, and I don't know what. Do you have some advices for this?
Okay, thank you very much, Cecilia. So that's a good question to touch on right now. Like, I would say that's more on, like, your honesty, right? Like, whether, your ego, whether it will allow you to fail the company or not, right? And this, again, will really depends on the person. But I would tell you that for your case specifically, right? If you want to, like say, how to balance between how much you're able to do and how much you're actually able to do, right? The way that you would do it, I would say, is you try to stay as honest but as humble as possible. So think of the way that you would show yourself as not like trying to boast every good point about yourself, but rather you are a person, right? You are a person. You have good points, but you also have these bad points that you can fix, right? And that's where the potential comes in, right? Because if you show that you are this person with flaws, but you're trying, right? You show that you're trying to fix those flaws, then you have greater potential, which is something a lot of companies look for, rather than, say, I don't know, like a messiah who is like perfect at like math, literature, English, Italy, Japanese, everything. Usually those people would have skeptics over. They would be very skeptical of those kind of, people who appear perfect. So, you have to appear humble and willing to grow. And that's what the company looks for. So I hope that answered your questions.
Yes, thank you, Carl. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cecilia. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Oh, yeah, Fiamma, please.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was wondering if you could go more in detail of what Emunitas does, like for helping connection, or like what's your main focus helping foreigners in Japan?
Okay, thank you very much, Fiamma. So the thing that Emunitas does as a service, we have a platform called DokoJob that you guys can contact, or you can look for here, but I'll try not to like advertise myself too much. But essentially, DokoJob as a service, we try to we do many things. First and foremost, we try to post job opportunities as well as internships that international people can apply for on our platform, and also we try to recruit those people for those opportunities, so that the companies can, have a pool of users that they can consider for their, job opportunities for as a candidates, And the other things that we do is we also do, business process outsourcing, where we would, essentially we would ask students or workers to do those business work for certain companies as an internships and paid internships as well. So, they can like get the experience and the company would get like workers. So essentially that's how we are helping international students find jobs. And also we do like events as well as instructions, sessions, like kind of like these, that would give the students as well as the people more understanding on, well, getting a job in Japan, essentially. Yeah. Thank you very much, Manuel.
So actually, when I was in Japan, I did find an internship thanks to like Emunitas. So I can like say that everything they do works just fine. So I got an internship. I got to do like a part-time there for about a month. It was a paid internship. So if any one of you is interested, just feel free to just scan the QR code, or like you can also find Emunitas on Instagram as well. I believe we linked their profile in our posts, in GESSHIN's posts. So if you guys want to check it out, you can find both Eugene, Luan, and Emunitas like profiles throughout GESSHIN.
Thank you very much, Anna, for vouching for us as well. Thank you. All right.
So if there's no more questions, I guess we can close this fantastic panel. Thank you very much, Luan, again. Oh wait, there's one more question.
Final question. Okay. Hello, I have a question. How difficult or easy it is to open your own business in Japan, especially for a person residing abroad that does not hold a visa? Would you recommend the Zaigaku path and build your experience in Japan as an employee first? Okay, so regarding this, speaking from my personal experience, I would say that opening your own business within Japan is easier because you have an understanding of, first of all, the environments, and also like what is needed in terms of legislatives. I'm sorry, not logistics, legislatives. When you're trying to sign a company, for example, you would really need those insights, especially from locals, that usually you do not get from, like, say, even sessions that they do abroad. It's very difficult, I would say, to find it abroad, but it's definitely not impossible. So I would, recommend the Zaidu path in building your experience as an employee first before you start your own business, or even just a yugaku instead of just a working employee as well, if you would like to consider those. I hope that's answered your question, David. Thank you very much. Thank you very much as well for your question. Yes. So yeah, thank you once again, GESSHINs, and I guess everybody who came today for this wonderful opportunity. And yeah, thank you very much, everybody.